everybody, Howard here with double stops, majors and minors explained. Now let me quickly explain why I'm doing this video. I've done an extensive collection on double stops and how to use them over blues and major chords and minor chords, but I got a question the other day from a viewer asking me if I would put together a video that really defines the difference between majors and minors on the fretboard and how to find them. Okay, so I'll put a link in the description box below to the previous double stop lesson. I think I've got two of them combined together now. But let me explain this really quickly and really easily, okay? So I'm going to use an A major bar chord as my first example. Now, inside this A major shape, we have a major third, which is located right there, the 6th fret on the G string, and then we have the root note, A, on the 5th fret on the 1st E string. I'm not going to get into the theory about this. I just want to show you exactly how to find these things, how easy it is, and how quickly you can add it to your playing and understand how it works, okay? So back to the A major bar chord, we have that chord, and inside that we have the major third and the root, the A, okay? So what we do is we follow the scale, okay? It's an A major chord, so we follow the A major scale using double stops, 2 notes at a time. And there's a pattern to it. If you look at this as being your root position, let's just call it the root position, then you're going to have this configuration, 5th fret on the E string, 6th fret on the G string, and that's going to be followed by 7 on the G string and 7 on the 1st E string. You can use your pick and your finger to hybrid pick it, or you can play them individually, however you like. So we're going to have the root position, then we're going to have 2 of these, and that'll be at the 7th fret and the 9th fret. So once again, root position, 2 of these. Then we're going to go back to this fingering, okay? And that's going to be the 10th fret on the E string and the 11th fret on the G string. And we're going to have 2 of those. So once again, root position, 2 of these fingerings, 2 of these fingerings, and then 2 of these fingerings. So what I did there was 14 and 14 on the 1st E string and the G string, then 16 and 16, and then back to the octave to the root position, which will be 17 and 18, 17 and 18. That's the pattern over an A major chord. And it works every time, okay? So if I was to do it over a G chord, it would simply be a whole step down. You'd have a G chord, but you would follow the same pattern. You would start with the root position, then you would have 2 of these fingerings, 2 more of these, 2 more of these, and you find yourself right at the root. As I say, it works every time, okay? So before we go into the minors, let's talk about how you do that off of the B and the D strings, okay? Now, rather than use a bar chord shape, what I like to do is use that standard C shape, okay? And if we start moving that shape up the fretboard, we can dial into where these double stops are, and this is exactly what I mean by that. So you have a C major chord, okay? And if you look at your second finger, it is on the major third of that C chord, just like we had the major third of the A chord. And then your first finger is on the root. So that's how you find it off of the 5th string, okay, off of the A string. You wouldn't necessarily play this, right? Might sound terrible, or depending on your ear, right? But that would still show you how to find those major double stops off of the B and the D strings. And the pattern is exactly the same as it is off the E and the G strings. So once again, find that chord, major third, root, and it's exactly the same. That's your root position. Then you have 2 of these fingerings, 2 of these fingerings, 2 of these, and then finally back to the root position again. So as you can see, it's it's just a pattern, and it's easily memorized and implemented into your playing. So let's say you were just going to go between, you know, a G chord and a C chord. And of course you can travel up the fretboard and do whatever you want. But the main thing is the pattern is always the same. So if I wanted to do it over a D chord, for instance, I would just simply take that C shape, move it up here, and I've got a D note, there's the major third, and there's the root. So you would just follow the pattern from there. It's always the same, right? So that's how you find major double stops off of the E and the G string, as well as the B and the D string, okay? So let's talk about the minors. What's the difference and how do you find the minor ones? Now what we do with this is we take a similar approach. Instead of using a major chord shape, we use a minor chord shape, okay? Now I'm going to use F sharp minor simply because it's the relative minor to A major, okay? But of course you can move it up and down the fretboard through different chords. So let's take an F sharp minor chord. Sorry, new strings. So what you do with this is you take a look at this chord, and in the second fret on the G string, which is contained within your first finger bar, is the minor third of that chord. It's a minor chord, so we're looking for a minor third instead of a major third. So the minor third is right there, second fret on the G string, and then the root is also the second fret on the G string. And once again, we simply follow the scale, okay? But this is really cool and super easy. We started out like this. We do 2 and 2. You can do it like that if you want, any way you want to do it, but it's 2 and 2, followed by, again, 4 and 4. So we've got that shape, right, where the fingers are in the same fret. And then as we ascend the scale, we naturally bump into the relative major, which in this case is A, okay? And then you just climb up the fretboard like you did over an A major chord. So in other words, the pattern for minor is 2 and 2, 4 and 4. So you have 2 of these, then you're going to have exactly what you had before. That's it, over a minor chord. Okay, so again, off of a major chord, it is this. And off of a minor chord, it is this. That's the only difference. You're starting like that. And you can really hear it if, for instance, you were to play those two chords back to back. You can just hear it, right? It's just really rich and very melodic sounding, and it's very easy to find, okay? So just to make it super clear, let's go to an A minor chord for a second. It would still be the same pattern, 2 of these, and then you would fall into the major pattern, and so on and so forth. Okay, so it's always the same, right? It just depends on where you start, what chords you're playing, whether it's a B minor, an A minor, a G minor, whatever it happens to be. So let's talk about how you find the minors off of the B and the G string. That's the combination of choice, certainly for me and a lot of players, because you don't really have that same option of it being a sixth away, okay? So you use a combination of major and minor thirds. So let's say we take a B minor chord, okay? Inside that B minor chord is the B note, the root note, and the minor third, okay? So it's the same combination, just flip-flopped, right? And not a sixth away, okay? So B minor, and you'll find the 4th fret on the G string and the 3rd fret on the D string. So that's the root, B, and that's the minor third, right? And this one is super simple, okay? We start out with the 3rd fret on the B string and the 4th fret on the G string, and we have 2 of those configurations. So I moved up a whole step from the 3rd fret and the 4th fret to the 5th fret and the 6th fret. And then we have one of these barred at the 7th fret, the B string and the G string in the same fret. So we have, okay, then we go to the 8th and the 9th fret and we simply repeat that pattern. So that's why it's so easy to remember. So as you can see at the end we had 14 and 14 and then 15 and 16 bringing you back to the root. So once again the pattern is simple enough, right? So that's really cool. You have like 4 different ways that you can play these double stops. You've got 2 ways to play the majors and 2 ways to play the minors, okay? So let's say we were going to move from a G major to a B minor, maybe a C, and then back to G, right? So using our arsenal of double stops, we might play something like this. Choice is yours, right? So that's how you find major and minor double stops on the guitar using the E string, the G strings, and the B string and the D strings, okay? So there you go. I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you guys in the next video.